YouTube has quietly become the most important platform in the world. YouTube is now number one in TV, number one in podcasting, number one in short form, and the number one platform for creators to earn a full-time income.
So what would you say is like the number one thing creators should be thinking about differently in 2025 and to 2026?
So for a long time, the bread and butter of YouTube has been the medium form videos, right? We're talking about 8 minutes, 15-minute videos. And it made sense because the 8-minute mark is where you can start monetizing more heavily. That's when you can start placing your ads mid-roll and all that stuff. But I'm seeing this shift where it is not so much at the center anymore, but it's starting to spread to both ends. So what we call a bimodal distribution of content, really short form content and ultra long form content. So we're talking podcasts, we're talking series, compilations, playlists, because YouTube is now the dominant platform on TV. You think it's Netflix, you think it's, Disney Plus or something. It's actually YouTube.
I think that's interesting about this bimodal distribution that you're talking about. Why is that so important, do you think?
Whenever any social media platform has the new features, it's always going to try to push that, right? It wants mass adoption. Short form, relatively a new phenomena. YouTube is going to continue pushing that.
I think what you're saying is very common in what they do in like Hollywood and TV shows and stuff too. Whenever there's new features, it's like they're testing a new pilot episode. They're just saying, oh, is this going to hit or is this going to stick or not? And if it does do well, then they'll usually get some more buy-in from the investors and then they'll actually produce a whole TV show or a movie or something, right? That's how I felt like shorts were for a long time. I feel like a lot of people like us who just hate shorts, I don't really watch that many shorts, but people who hate shorts were just praying like, oh, let's just please get rid of these. They're going to go away. But the data showed that they were incredibly successful. So just knowing that like shorts are going to stay. They're not going anywhere. Just like AI is not going anywhere. When those things happen, what options do you have as a YouTuber? What options do you have as a creator? One, you could ignore it and then get no return on it. Or you can just learn how to do it well.
And the new thing here is that we're seeing more connection between the short algorithm and the long form algorithm. If you watch someone's shorts, it's more likely that you'll see their long form content being recommended to you. Whereas before, it's not so much the case. But in addition to that, we're seeing a lot of creators link their short form content to their long form content. A very classic example is podcasts. You're taking the highlight moments, taking the reels from the podcast, and you're putting them as shorts. And so this creates an ecosystem, right? More shorts means more surface area for your audience to find you.
I think definitely one of the smartest things you can do as a creative is to understand that there are different types of viewers and different types of consumer habits. I don't really watch long form videos when I'm taking a dump. I'd rather watch shorts. And when I'm at home with my TV, I'd rather put something on the big screen. And so you're just providing opportunities for different consumers at different times of the day to consume your content. Do you have any examples of podcasts that are doing this really well?
Diary of CEO is doing it. Chris Williamson, Valuetainment. We recently came across the Dave Ramsey show strategy. They went into detail about their strategy, right? They call it the content waterfall, where they'll do the long form podcasts and then they'll check their analytics. All the highlight reels, they'll take that and turn it into medium clips. And then from those, all the high retention spots, they'll take those and turn it into shorts.
I love that strategic approach to repurposing your content. Because I was the one who was editing some of our podcasts. I would just be chopping it up and I would just based off my gut feeling, like intuition, like, oh, this might be a pretty good segment. And then it would just completely flop. But what you're saying, which is interesting, is post a long form video first, get some data, and then only repurpose from the moments that are proven to be successful. And that way you're saving a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort, and you're only fine-tuning the best possible moments. I think it's super smart.
I think a new interesting trend also in relation to this bimodal strategy is not just vertical shorts, but actually shorter long form video. So I'm talking about long form videos, 16:9, that are 2 minutes long, 3 minutes long. We saw this recent trend right now on YouTube that's like 57 seconds long.
Yeah.
Right? Give me 57 seconds and I will change your life in some way. And it's just like a motivational piece. Usually the ones that do well are just highly edited, great production value, great content. Sometimes people just want that quick hit, but it's enough for people to get to know you, your brand, and then they'll stick around for the longer form content when the algorithm eventually recommends it to you.
Yeah, is very interesting and genius strategy. So I was actually talking to one of the people who did it first, the creative director on Dan Martell's team. At first he said, this is just going to be an experiment. We're going to try a 60-second video and just see what it does. I think a couple of weeks later, he showed us the analytics for it. The retention was like 80% or higher. Obviously it's like a 60-second video, but I think that strategy is so genius for multiple reasons. First of all, it's a very short video. And if you package that video as this is only going to be 60 seconds in the title, people are much more likely to click it. It's like, feel safe. It's only going to be a minute of my time. If it's good, I'll have enjoyed my time. If it's not, it's just a minute of my time that was wasted. But what you're actually doing, if people watch that 1 minute video and they stay till the end, that signals to YouTube they liked this channel's content, which means they're also going to recommend more content from that same channel that are long form. That is like the dream of any small channel or any big channel. You want the YouTube home feed to push more of your content. So they watched a video, YouTube thinks that they liked that video, they're gonna feed you another video. It's clever, right? You're tricking the algorithm to show you more content. And I think a few weeks after Dan Martell did it, we saw Gary Vaynerchuk's team doing it. Everyone just started adopting the strategy, but it worked. It's something that definitely worth considering for your channel.
So we got super short form, that's one end of the spectrum, but we also have ultra long form. For me personally, there's two kinds of long form that I would watch. The first one is the one that you would just put on TV, right? The set it and forget it, the passive viewing, right? You're either cleaning your house, you're doing the dishes, you're doing a workout, you have kids, and you're just putting it on the TV screen. And it doesn't matter what niche you're in, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, everyone can play this game. We asked all their coworkers, what do you watch on the TV screen? There is just such a wide range. Some people are watching DJ sets, music sets. Some people are watching cooking shows. Some people are watching travel shows. Some people are working out. The second kind would be the highly engaged educational long form. We've seen so many creators take their 5-hour, 6-hour, 7-hour courses and just put it on YouTube for free. That is the kind of content where you can continually come back to it. So for example, for me, every time I get on the treadmill and do some exercise, I'll just take a little bite out of the course. It's about, cinematic video editing. I keep coming back to it. Like I bookmark where I left off, and I just consume this over the course of many, many days. Because when you help someone solve their problems, they're going to remember you for it. And that is where trust is built. So if you have a lot of educational content, consider putting it out there for free. What you think will happen actually won't happen. You think that, I'm just giving away all my products. I'm giving away all my secrets. But the reality is, and we've seen this with ourselves and our clients, if you put all that stuff out there for free, people are going to want to pay you to help them implement. They're actually not going to take action at all. All they're going to do is passively consume the 5-hour course, not take any action, get frustrated, and then pay you to help them take action. So it's a great way to get your expertise out there and increase your watch time, obviously.
I mean, even if they do take action, I would be totally fine with it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll back up. They'll take a little bit of action. Yeah. They'll get a little bit of wins, enough for them to, really feel like you are the teacher for them, and then they'll buy in.
I think that there are very few people who are able to just from YouTube master a skill or achieve an incredible result. There's just a level of accountability or structure that you can't get without more guidance. But what you're essentially describing here in terms of like this ultra long form stuff, it just sounds like an audiobook. I don't actually pay for it anymore, but we used to have an Audible subscription. And I think like a book like $100 Million Offers was a 6-hour listen. So you're essentially saying that people are just uploading audiobooks to YouTube. They should just turn it into a book.
The most recent one I was listening to was Hook Point by Brendan Kane. Yeah. He put his entire audiobook up there. Or like at least a summary up there. You got Mark Manson. He also summarized
one of the
his
OGs
entire
to do it, actually.
Audiobook on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think he actually was one of the first people I've seen to just do subtle art of not giving a fuck as a summary YouTube video. I think it was
summarized by the author.
I think it was a few of them, right? He did like 3 videos in a row. They're like 2 hours long each. I was like, oh, great. I don't have to read this book anymore. I could just watch the video. And I'm sure he still sells plenty of those books, but he probably got a lot more discoverability and exposure and trust from the videos because people got to hear him speak it. He actually ad-libbed a bit, and he told some stories about the book as well. So there are so many ways to just repackage your ideas into longer format content.
So along the vein of audiobooks, not only is YouTube the #1 platform on TV, it is also the #1 place where people go to listen to podcasts. You'd think it's Spotify, you'd think it's Apple Podcasts, but YouTube is now #1.
This is a very simple but tactical way to increase your reach on YouTube. You actually have to select that it's a podcast. If you do that, it will also show up in YouTube Music. So it's just another quick way to get some more exposure. You're making the content already, so you might as well just have it discovered on another app as well. The cool thing about YouTube podcasts, there's no time requirement for how long a podcast can be. You can post a 5-minute video as a podcast if you want to. I think that's what like Naval does.
Traditionally, a lot of people think, oh, podcast is just audio only, right? That's the old way of thinking. The new way forward is video podcasts. The lowest hanging fruit for you, if you're already doing a podcast, just turn on your camera. You will double, if not triple, quadruple your watch time.
I really realized this when AI became much more prevalent and everyone started using ChatGPT and automating everything in their life. But when things are easy to do, it becomes a commodity. You can generate a full AI podcast without even being there. So if everyone can do it, it no longer becomes special. What I love is that creators are finding innovative ways to up-level their content. And they have to if they want to stay on the cutting edge, if they want to stay relevant. AI has leveled the playing field of what good is or what good was. And so if you want to stand out, you have to do that extra step. You have to go a step further. The way to stand out with podcasts is to not think about it only as an auditory experience, but to create an immersive experience. And that comes from the visuals, the storytelling, the vibe that you set. We're seeing one of the most successful podcasts right now. One of my favorites is Diary of a CEO. Those trailers that they do at the beginning, they hired like a Hollywood editor to do those.
So good, yeah.
And it just pulls you in. I'm like, wow, this is such high quality content. And then the set design that they do, it's masterfully done. It's cinematic. It's beautiful. The camera shots, the angles. Like, yes, I can listen to this if I'm in my car. I can listen to this at the gym. But if I'm at home, it's also a much better and enjoyable immersive experience.
Yeah, I love that. There's so many podcasts that put so much thought into their physical studio, the environment that they're building. Some of my favorites, David Perel's podcast, such a vibe. Flagrant podcast, such a vibe. Shout out to our really good friend, Mark, over at Open Residency.
Killer work.
They build the set there. They bring in the 8 or 9 figure founder, and it's just a piece of art. But it doesn't need to just be the aesthetic. Like, think of someone like Alex Hormozy. His podcast now is just sitting there writing on a whiteboard.
But even that has a more elevated experience.
Exactly. You get to see his brain visually now, and people tune in for that. Sure, you can still listen to it if you want to, like during your workout, but you can also put it on the TV screen and just have it playing, or you can just put it on your laptop and start studying. There's so many ways you can consume it now, but I think video is the way of the future.
There is definitely a difference between just making something look beautiful versus making something beautiful and valuable. Content is always the most important. What you're saying, the storytelling, the hook, the ideas, like learn, study, and research all those things first. This is something that you have to do on top of that. If you really want to stand out, you have to take that extra step to make your content more valuable and beautiful. I have no clue why Andrew Huberman has not adopted some form of whiteboard or some form of like visual demonstration for his topics, because he is like breaking down pretty complex science, like talking about the nervous system, talking about like proteins and stuff like that. There's no way that someone can conceptualize that without a visual or diagram. He's still able to do it at such a masterful level because he is like the top 1% person who can do that. And what I'm saying is, why would you try to compete against someone like him? There's this idea we talk about in our programs about how to actually stand out on social media at all. Way number one, and this is the way that most people would expect, is to become the number one best person at that. Become Michael Jordan, become Andrew Huberman. Obviously, they're going to succeed and they're going to stand out, but it is so hard to try to compete against number one. The other way is to become number one at combining multiple things. So maybe you're not going to be the number one best podcaster in science like Andrew Huberman's going to be, but you could be the number one best podcaster in science with a whiteboard and with another guest at the table. There are ways you can add multiple advantages and become the best at that. Way easier than trying to compete with the number one person.
How can you take that and apply it to something else? Like, you are the number one engineer who builds things, or you're the number one engineer who fixes things, right? There's so many ways that you can mold your knowledge to stand out and be the only one doing it. 60% of Gen Z prefer YouTube as their number one platform to go and learn skills. It's always been, for a very long time, the number one place where people go to get educated. So a lot of people go to ChatGPT and they go to TikTok to search up like a quick tip. How do I tie a tie or something like that? But if you want to really go deep and immerse yourself in the knowledge and to actually change your life with practical skills, it's going to be YouTube. I personally learned all my video editing skills from YouTube. I learned from Peter McKinnon, Parker Walbeck, just watching tons of Casey Neistat and just practicing. We learn how to grow on YouTube, right? We learn how to build products on YouTube. There's so many things that you don't learn in school, you can learn on YouTube now.
That's the core purpose of this channel, is to help creators build businesses that are going to last. And we're doing it on YouTube.
So this next trend in the future of YouTube has to do with the hot topic right now, which is artificial intelligence. We're seeing that SEO is dying because of AI. I heard this from Neil Patel. SEO is no longer search engine optimization. It is search everywhere optimization. Every platform helps us make different decisions. So for example, we go to YouTube for the deep education to connect with the creators and to learn about something. We go to Amazon to check out product reviews, to check out what other people are saying about something. Every platform has its role, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on YouTube because if this trend continues to happen, then websites are not going to be the primary place for your business anymore. If I want to really know like how good is this product, or I want to know like, is this person legit? I will go to YouTube to do my research on them.
When you go to a website, like a company's website, obviously they're going to talk up their products. Someone wrote a really beautiful landing page and, you know, the sales funnel and all this stuff, like they enter your email. They show us the best looking photos. They may or may not even be truthful reviews that are on the products and services. It never is going to feel as authentic and real as if you go to someone's social media, like YouTube. You see a video that's gotten millions of views or a lot of views, and the comments are all positive from real people. You can't really replicate that. And that is what you're talking about here. Why YouTube is like the home of your brand is because not only are you getting like authentically good content, but you also get to see, does this hit with other people? Are people resonating with the content that they're making? What is the community like? What are the comments saying? Who are the people that are enjoying this? And do I fit in with this culture?
Yeah, absolutely. And you just think about it on a smaller level, like a resume or a CV to a personal brand is like a landing page to a company. You can't really fake your social media, but you can fake your CVs. You can fake your letters of rec. You can fake your references. Like you can just ask your cousin or your uncle, my boss is going to call you to legitimize this. Like all of that is outdated now. But social media and those comments, that is authenticity.
Yeah. I mean, you can fake it by like running a whole bunch of paid traffic to it, but it's pretty obvious.
People will see through it very quickly.
It's pretty obvious when that happens. And YouTube obviously does take some pretty big precautions to prevent spammers and like fake accounts from growing. But the next question that we get pretty often from people who are like maybe stuck in their YouTube growth, they've been posting videos for a while, they're not growing, or they're like, what do I even make content about? What do you say right now, based on all the data and the trends on YouTube for 2025, is the best strategy for growing on YouTube?
Right now, there's been a big shift in the algorithms. So for a very long time, we've had social media, but there's been a big shift towards interest media. So the feeds are now very personalized, and it's going to constantly give you things that you were interested in. Whereas before, it would give you content to people that you actually subscribe to. Today, if I subscribe to somebody, I may or may not see their content. And my feed is usually just filled with creators that I've never even heard of before. But it's content that I'm actually interested in. So the algorithms are just really good in that way. And so what I'm trying to say is that what you want to do is focus on making really niche content. Figure out who your target audience is, who you want to speak to, and make content that speaks directly to them. Make content that they are interested in.
It's a little bit of a double-edged sword because the creators who are bigger, who have big audiences already, and they're used to making content that was a little bit all over the place, maybe they jump from one topic to another, those channels are starting to see dips in their viewers. But at the same time, what this allows for is a lot of smaller channels and newer creators to get discovered because they are finding those niche communities on YouTube. I think that's beautiful about YouTube.
Yeah, times are changing a lot. You remember that strategy when it was like, you are the niche, right? Like if people subscribe to you, then they're following you for you. Yeah. Right. And you can talk about whatever the heck you want, but that doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work that well anymore.
I mean, it can work for some people, but it doesn't work for most people.
Right. I mean, if you're like a celebrity,
if you're like Asmongold, you can make whatever the heck you want. People are going to watch you. But yeah.
But if you're relatively up and coming, stay focused on a niche and own that niche.
And I want to talk about something that we get asked all the time. As creative people, we want to make a lot of different kinds of content. We have a lot of things we want to share. We have a lot of ideas.
Multi-passionate.
We have so many things we want to do. It doesn't mean you can't do that though. you can still make any kind of content that you want to. It's just right now what we're seeing in 2025, and it's probably going to be this way for the future. Just make it on another channel. You can start multiple channels on YouTube, and both of those channels will be more successful if they were niche, as opposed to putting it all on the same channel.
That's why you see Mr. Beast has Beast Gaming, Beast Philanthropy, Mr. Beast 2. There's just so many different channels, but it's all segmented into the content that is interesting to that audience.
And I would even say like Mr. Beast is obviously like the outlier, top 1%. Everyone's going to watch everything he does, but we're even seeing this on much smaller channels as well. For example, like Gox has Gox Art, and then he just started the Gox channel for himself to talk about other things. There's this pretty niche creator that I like a lot called John Makes Beats. And then he just started another channel called John Talks Beats. It's more educational than him making music, but separating the different types of content into different channels is going to be much better for the health of both of those channels. And the cool thing about YouTube is inside of your YouTube homepage for your channel, you can link your channels together. You can say like, oh, related channel, or check out these cool channels that I'm also part of. So people will still find your ecosystem if they really are a fan of your community. It's just helping the algorithm place your content in the right place. So how would you think about which content goes on which channel?
Yeah, whenever you're unsure, I always like to refer back to Patty Galloway's rule, which is the 80% rule. He says that if your piece of content doesn't appeal to at least 80% of your audience, then rethink that strategy. For us, our first channel was talking to students who want to get better grades. If we put out a video about
building a business,
building a business,
which we tried,
which we did, 80% of the students there did not care about building a business. And so we put that video out there. Obviously, it's going to flop and it's not going to be well received. But if you talk about something like study techniques, then like 99% of the students there cared about that. So that's how you got to think about your strategy. So we just covered how YouTube is literally the number one in every category, every platform, every dimension of viewing screen. And the cool thing is that YouTube's not going anywhere. It just turned 20 years old. It proved that it can withstand the test of time. And I think the biggest opportunity here is that even though it may seem like it's saturated, everyone can win on YouTube. YouTube is not just a one person in the niche will win and everyone else loses. That's not how the game works. The reality is that we will all win if all of our content is valuable. Someone who's learning, say, how to build a business, they're not just going to follow one creator. They're going to watch all the business creators and try to get different perspectives and different approaches from all of them.
You're not too old to start YouTube. You're not too old to grow YouTube if you've been doing it for a while. There's never been a better time to be a creator. But I will also say it is not an easy path to get started with. YouTube is a lot of work and there's a lot to learn about it. You got to make titles, you got to make thumbnails, you got to learn how to make videos, you got to tell better stories.
And that's what we do on this channel. So definitely follow along. If you have any questions, leave them below. And in the description, we have links to all of our free resources. We got a newsletter, keeping up on the latest trends, and we have a YouTube production school if you want to go deeper with us.